Hello and welcome back to Granted Gardens, our new kitchen series. So I have been really into fermenting recently. So of course you've seen now our drinks that we've been fermenting. We've touched on a little bit of the foods that we've been fermenting. So we discussed that. We had done some of our cabbage. So this is one thing that I've tried before and wanted to try again. It's been a little while, but fermenting carrots. So I figured that I'd go ahead and shoot a video so that I can share this information with you guys while I'm doing this. So the fermented carrots have been one of my favorite things. They're really, really good on like rice or salads or anything kind of like Asian inspired. They're delicious. So I will give you a quick glimpse at how to make easy homemade fermented carrots. Check it out. So right here I've got the very few requirements that are needed for you to make this recipe. We've got about 14 carrots. I've got some fresh ginger root. Now you can use the prepackaged ginger from the store if you'd like. I'm just going to go the more natural route here. Then we're going to use a 1 tablespoon measure, 1/4 cup. We need a cup measure. Then here we have to make sure that you have a nice clean glass jar. So make sure that it's well sterilized because we will be fermenting in this. And then you also need a lid. So this lid here I got from Amazon. This is a fermentation lid, which is really nice because you can just put the lid right on top of your jar and it'll burp itself, as opposed to you having to come by every so many days and crack the lid to let some of the gases out. So this is nice, but this is not necessary. You're more than welcome to use a regular lid. Then you also are going to need salt. Now the salt needs to be as natural as possible. You don't want any chemicals in it. And you also want to make sure that there are no anti-clump chemicals in it. So here we're going to flip over. If we just look at the back, ingredients, unrefined sea salt, perfect. That's all we need. And then this last piece here, this is just some of our liquid left over from a sauerkraut fermentation that we did. This is not a requirement by any means for you to make this recipe. And I will walk you through the details on that, but I am going to use some of this and I'll explain how. So to start out, you're going to want to prepare your carrots. Now I'm going to go ahead and shred them. I like the idea of the thinner, more kind of noodly like texture to them, but you can chop them, you can do whatever you want. But I'm just going to go ahead and use my little peeler and I'm just going to peel obviously the outer layers of the carrot off, and then I'm going to continue to peel the rest of my carrot so that I can get that same little kind of like noodly like texture to ferment with. And I've shredded up my carrots. As you can see now what I meant more by like the noodle look instead of just chopping them up. So by using that peeler, you get something that looks a little bit more like a noodle, which is fun to me. So we went through about 7 carrots. I did not use all of my carrots I had set out. So I've got about 7 carrots here. I feel like that's going to be plenty to fit inside of my jar. And then I just went ahead and I peeled down as much as I possibly could comfortably. So I've got a few of these that are left. That's fine. I'll use them in my juicer in the morning. So our next step now is going to be to cut up our ginger and add our ginger root to our carrots. So to do that, you want to go ahead and add about 1/4 cup of ginger, okay? So I've got my ginger here that I got from the grocery store. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to peel up some of this. I'm going to chop it up into little pieces, about 1/4 cup. And then I'm going to go ahead and add it to my carrots that I've got in my bowl here. Okay, so now that we've got our carrots and our ginger in our bowl, now we're going to work towards the brine. So there's a few different ways that you can do this. You can start out with just water, so 1 cup of water, and you can do 2 tablespoons of your salt, or you can start out with 1/4 cup of your already fermented liquid, and then 1 tablespoon of salt. So it's up to you how you want to do that. I'm going to go ahead and do my 1/4 cup of pre-fermented liquid that we got from our sauerkraut recipe. I already have 1/4 cup of my starter liquid in my batch here already. So I'm going to need 3/4 cup of warm water for my salt to dissolve in. So I'm going to go ahead and get that started and put it on the stove just to heat up. It doesn't need to be boiling, it just needs to be warm enough for the salt to dissolve quickly. Okay, so I've got my salt kind of chopped up. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to go ahead and put it in the hot water. And once it is in the hot water, you want to stir the hot water until all the salt is fully dissolved. So while we're waiting on that, you can go ahead and start working on your carrots. And it's really just a matter of trying to get all of the juice out of them. So this could very easily take probably about another 10 minutes of consecutive work. It doesn't necessarily all have to be done at the same time. If you get tired, feel free to give yourself a break. So again, we're really just working to attempt to get as much of that juice out of these carrots as possible. Now, once your salt and water have warmed up, you've got your salt in there, you stirred it around, your salt has dissolved, make sure that you take your water off the heater, let it cool down to room temperature. This should only happen about a few minutes into you working on getting the liquid out of your carrots. So once the liquid is cooled down with the salt in it, you want to go ahead and get that into your bowl. The salt is going to be what helps extract those juices from your carrots. So you go ahead, toss that in, and then continue to work on your carrots. Again, this process should take about 10 minutes of you working on these carrots to get the juices out and make sure that they're ready to start fermenting. Now, once your salt and water have warmed up, you've got your salt in there, you stirred it around, your salt has dissolved, make sure that you take your water off the heater, let it cool down to room temperature. Alright, so my water has warmed up, I have the salt in, the salt is totally dissolved, so I'm going to go ahead. Oh, and my water's cooled, and I'm going to go ahead and pour it into my mixture and continue working on breaking down the carrots. Alrighty, so after about 10 minutes of working on breaking these carrots down, this is what they should look like. So you've got a lot of the liquid in the bottom here. Your carrots are pretty well beaten up. This is the consistency that you want them to be at before you put them in the jar. Okay, so now that we've got it packed in our jar, I actually have quite a bit of extra space here, but that's okay, and I'll show you why in a moment. We just want to make sure that we clean up the outside, that all of the pieces of the carrot, like stuff like this, needs to be down and submerged under the water. So anything that is not, this is on the outside, submerged under the water can go bad. So I'm going to go ahead and scrape as much as I can off the sides here. I'm going to push down, again, packing in. I want to make sure that there's no air bubbles. And once I've got everything cleaned off the side that I can, we're just going to take a clean paper towel and go around the inside here to wipe off anything that's not submerged. We need this to be very clean. Alright, so now you can see I've got it pretty well cleaned up. Now, as I mentioned, we need to make sure that all of those pieces stay submerged. So you need something that will work as a weight. I've seen people use a lot of really creative things for this, such as like shot glasses that are filled up. I've seen people use rocks. They've cleaned rocks off from their yard. I actually have a fermentation weight, so I'm going to go ahead and drop this in. But again, you want to make sure that these are nice and clean. And all we're going to do here, I'm going to try and show y'all, is I'm going to take my fermentation weight and just put it right inside of my jar. And it should push down on the carrot pieces and you'll see the liquid rise above it. So I'll give you a shot of it from overhead. So this is what it'll look like once you have your weight in there. You can see if I push down, it's just liquid that's on the sides here. There's no actual parts of carrot. Along the edges here, we've got this all cleaned up really nicely as well. And you can see the solids down there at the bottom. So this is perfect. Now all we have to do is go ahead and screw our lid on. And once you screw your lid on, then you can go ahead and just set this in a corner somewhere out of direct sunlight, somewhere that it hopefully won't get bumped too much, for anywhere from 5 to 10 days. I'll probably go ahead and check mine at 5. I'm probably going to lean more towards 7 because usually that's my normal fermentation schedule. But you can go in here at 5 days and you can take some to taste, see if it tastes the way you would like it to. If not, go ahead and let it sit out for even longer. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm enjoying sharing some of the kitchen stuff. Now I'm going to go clean up. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to sharing more with you soon.